We find ourselves in the midst of a grand transformation, which affects all aspects of our lives and the entire society. We are witnessing that the architecture of the international monetary system plays a pivotal role in enabling or preventing that transformation from happening. In other words, how do we shift from an economy that depends on fossil fuels for 80% of its entire value chain, generating systemic negative externalities and underfunded planetary commons? A system prone to wars and uneven distribution of wealth and income. How do we move towards a more regenerative, low-carbon, circular, healthy and more balanced economy? A represents the well-known traditional boom and bust cycles, where the existing rules of the game remain in place. B represents the transformational shift required, where new financial tools and additional liquidity exceeding the traditional growth trajectory are required. I call it a Keynes 2.0 moment. C represents a new equilibrium where regenerative, circular, or steady-state economics prevails. If we miss this window of opportunity, we will end up in D. This path represents the conventional view. E is a deflection point, where we are operating outside the window of opportunity. Ecosystems have passed multiple non-linear tipping points, causing massive backlashes and negative externalities that we can no longer internalize. F represents this new equilibrium that nobody wanted in the first place. It will very likely not be the end of the world, but it will be the end of the world as we know it today, with a new net negative equilibrium. Traditionally, we expect to manage the transition through tax breaks and subsidies, ESG taxonomies, the restructuring of our loans and debts, additional austerity, asking for more philanthropy, or start privatizing our commons. However, as valid as these tools have been in the past, none of them is feasible to manage the transformation ahead alone. We are literally caught up in a trap. Indeed, if we start looking closer at this transformation, we realize that modern domestic economies with an integrated global financial sector are characterized by a systemic asymmetry between return on capital R and the growth rate of the real economy represented by G. This asymmetry further increases volatility, instability, inequality, and resource depletion, and impacts upon real estate prices and consumption patterns. In a closed planetary economy, we are exposed to additional expenditures, E, resulting from negative externalities, underfunded commons, and the mobilization of risk-averse pro-cyclical private capital, which will further increase this asymmetry. If we start redistributing liquidity through taxation or credit lines only, we can expect this to further aggravate the asymmetry. Taxation will withdraw and redirect purchasing power, and credit lines will amplify the debt trap, causing toxic cascades and drain-out effects for the entire economy. The equilibrium will remain Pareto inferior. If we start thinking differently and out of the box, we could start providing a pre-distributive monetary aggregate generated by central banks through a green quantitative easing, using central bank digital currencies, CBDC, or the associated swap lines. This additional monetary supply aggregate is meant to fund our planetary commons, manage our negative externalities, and provide hedging instruments to mobilize private capital only. The playing field for transformation will change fundamentally. Since M is conditioned to finance externalities, underfunded planetary commons, and to mobilize private capital, M and E will tend to zero. With this mechanism in place, we will be able to generate almost endless new financial engineering, like the first loss tranches for ABS, asset-backed securities, state guarantees to fix planetary commons, derivatives to hedge currency, and interest rate risks to mobilize private capital, grants and bonds for multilateral banks to manage negative externalities. An extended balance sheet will result in all major central banks, but we will have fixed the transformation. We will then ultimately arrive at a new equilibrium, where qualified green capital gains, R, are almost equal to qualified green growth rates, G. Over time, this will give rise to a new Pareto superior equilibrium. That would bring about a next to zero cost world, as each capital gain on the one side would match the income, profits, and shares on the other. We would have an economy with reduced instability, volatility, and income inequality, and higher wealth and well-being. Some scholars characterize this new equilibrium as an ecological, regenerative, steady state or circular economy, or what the Swedish call a lagom economy, a just enough economy that reconciles individual freedom and common goals. And this is the Keynes 2.0 moment we are in right now, adapted to the requirements of the 21st century. Not yet convinced? Need more information? Then please visit our homepage or read the book, The Economics of Transformation, available in all good bookstores.